Now, we're going to have very soon, before you, we're going to have one, two, three, four children. Four children, and they are between the ages of 11 and 15. ඉතාමත්ම දක්ෂ වැඩකාරයෝ. වයස 11 සිට 15, right? But though they are very small kids, the work that they have done is huge, humongous. And these children, we call them the Generation Z children, and we'll be having Bihan Mahadewa, a programmer and tech instructor. We'll be having Navendra, Marcelline, a visionary programmer. We'll be also having Savith, Herath, who is a robotics enthusiast. We'll be also having Mindiya, Karunasinghe, and IoT innovator. And the four of them are going to tell us something very, very interesting, because we have Generation Z kids waiting to entertain you, watching us live from the Stein Studios. And this session number 2, will be moderated by Dulith, the Chief Executive Officer, and also the founder of kaprukatube.com. So get ready for session 2. And the session 2 is called Lankan Wizkids, a panel discussion.
So good evening, everyone. I am having a very daunting task today to sit and moderate a panel like I've never ever done before, or know that I even sat in an audience for a panel like this. So these are Generation Z kids, or WHIZZ-KIDS rather, joining me today. All four of them have something common. They are seriously into coding. They're seriously into innovation, and if you'll be surprised if you check their age. Let's quickly start by asking you guys' age. Mindiya, how old are you?
I'm 14 years old.
14. Savith, what about you?
Yeah, me too. I'm also 14 years old.
Navendra,
I just turned 13 years old.
you just turned 13.
Yes.
Okay, and Bihan,
And I just turned 16.
16.
Yep.
Okay, so what we want to showcase here today is the talents that Sri Lankan kids have that we've never been able to really get on a stage like this before. So we are going to go through a bunch of questions to bring out the best in them, even though they all have the commonality of being coders, serious coders, not just write a small game once in a month. These guys are into serious coding, and also to see what areas that they kind of specialize in. Like I know, for example, if you take Savith, he's into robotics development. And if I take Navendra, I know you are into serious application development. And if I take Bihan, he wants to actually teach coding to others. So he wants to actually run a coding school. And if you take Mindiya, he wants to develop IoT devices. So it'll be so interesting to listen to your stories. Now, let me start with Mindiya. Mindiya, tell us about a little bit about how you got into coding, and how you kind of carried through to today into your IoT.
So when I was in my Montessori, I saw a robo game in IESL at Techno exhibition.
Okay.
So I got interested with it. So at the age of grade 1, when I was in grade 1, I made a robot using Lego Mindstorm. Then my father taught me Arduino.
Arduino, right?
Then when I was in grade 4, I started learning Arduino.
Right.
And now I'm learning Python, C++, programming language.
And you are also making IoT devices
Yes.
now, right? Okay, great. So I'll come back to more of your projects in a bit. Let's jump to Savith. Savith, what is your story? How did you, get into all this, and where you are today?
So, well, when I was 9 years old, I was first introduced to Scratch. It's a very basic coding language, and it all started off from a few lines of code, and then it went on from there. So I made very, very simple games. And at first, I was really reluctant to do it, but my parents really pushed me, and I started to like it before I knew it. And a few years back, I remember I made my own version of Pac-Man, and then I I moved on into animations. And recently, I joined the international Scratch competition, and with over 250 projects, I ended up in the top 8, the semifinals. And I really like Scratch from that point onwards. But in the practical sense, Scratch, you can't do much when it comes to robotics. I also really like robotics as well. So I moved into C++. I took a couple of classes, and then I made projects. I started off from start, and then I made better projects. I even made Arduino in your car, and I'm working with sensors.
Oh, excellent. That's a nice wrap up. Next, let me go to Navendra. What
Right.
is your story?
So about 7 years ago, I was introduced to my very first.
7 years ago.
Yeah, 7 years ago.
So how old were you then?
I was around
Six.
6. Yeah,
Right.
turning 6 that year, and I was introduced to my very first multi-touch device. That was an iPad. An iPad 3 to be exact, and it was fascinating. I never really thought I had the. I never really thought I had the need to, in fact, harness such technology, which is so complex. And then I became so fascinated with iOS and many other operating systems like Android.
Right.
And a few years ago, I started on my very first programming language, which was QBasic. And every time I would have an assignment to do, which I would have to code in front of my teacher and show her what I can do, I kept on asking myself, do I see people using my versions of these applications, which already exist, in the next 10 years? I realized, yes, these are going to help me to understand the very roots of coding, variables, and all of those other concepts. But then I realized, I think I can do more. I think I can push myself and I can learn some more languages and in the end come out with a really good application. So that's what I did. And a few years later, I didn't just make one application. I learned so many programming languages. I came out with my favorite C#. I developed multiple applications.
Great. Nice wrap up on that. And Bihan, what is your story?
Well, this goes back to 2012 when I was 9 years old.
2012, when you were
Yeah.
9. Okay.
So at that time, actually, I loved gaming. So my story is a little different. I was playing Need for Speed at those times, and then actually I knew literally everything about Microsoft packages and then the Adobe packages. So there was no other class that I could take in these computer science shops available in Sri Lanka. And while searching, when I was 10 years old, my father found a customized Java language class. So I took a couple of Java classes for like 1 year, but I didn't understand anything. And then again, when I was 10 years old, I again took another Java classes. So the second time I took Java classes, well, actually I understood something. So that's how my journey starts with Java. And then when I was 11 years old, I enrolled at a campus to start my degree in software engineering. So now I'm 16 years old. I teach programming online, and also I make a couple of games, iOS applications, and also I complete my software engineering degree by 2 months.
Oh, excellent. So you said you are teaching now coding.
Yeah.
To how many students do you have?
Well, I teach for 16,000 students online for over 30 countries in the world, and our content is daily accessed by over 8,000 students and consumed very well.
Right. Excellent. That's amazing. So, I mean, Mindiya, I know you develop IoT devices, and that has been kind of your core area. Give me an example of something that you've built recently.
So I built a device. So for example, if you open a tap and went some trip,
Mm-hmm.
your water will be run out. So I made a device to measure the water level, water usage by each tap.
How
It's
does it
you
work? Is there a sensor that you put
there's
on
a, yes
and it
there's
talks
a
to?
I'm through the internet. It will send the data to a mobile app, and so we can use
So, do you use this at home now?
not I'm not using it. I'm
Right.
gonna start. So its applications are, for example, if you run a hotel, you can apply it for this. For each rooms, you can set separate devices,
Mm-hmm.
and the user can get the water usage of their room, so they can pay the exact amount of your water usage.
Okay, but you had another project, right? You had like an Apple, like a grocery store kind of a scanner kind
Uh,
of a thing. Is that a
that's
different
not
one?
IoT, but
That is not IoT. Is that one of your favorites too?
that's I think the best product I made.
Yeah, that's what I want to know more,
Uh,
actually.
s- so I
Could you
made
tell a bit about that product?
so I made a device for the visually impaired people.
Mm-hmm.
So when they travel, they need help from other people to get their location. So I made a device. uh, By using that device, they can get their location. For example, if you go to a supermarket with my device, then when you, for example, if you go near the green apples, it will say the price and the product.
Okay, that's something you already built.
Yes.
Right. Great.
And it won first place in the SS12 competition, international competition in the Southeast.
Well, congratulations. That's
Thank
great. Thank you. So let me switch back to Savith there. So same kind of thing. I want to know like one product that each one of you guys have built that you're proud of. So Savith, I'm sure you have built many things, but just pick one and tell us how it works.
Yeah, so recently I've been working with a moisture sensor, so it can measure the dampness of soil. So inside,
Dampness of soil.
yes.
Okay.
So inside our house, I have a big tree. It's indoors, right? So it cannot be watered. It doesn't experience rainfall and needs to be watered. And my mom tends to forget to water the
Right.
plant. So what I'm planning to do is the moisture sensor will be attached to the soil of that tree, and if it needs to be watered, it will send an SMS to my mother saying, "You need to water the plant." But what she does tell me is that I had to water the plant.
So she comes and tells you to water it.
Yeah.
So it's a reminder to you rather. But this is something you have already built. You have a prototype at home.
I'm currently working on it. So I've tested the moisture sensor, and I'm planning on getting the SMS part done too.
Right.
Complete
What's the
project.
hardest part of this project? Do you think the SMS part or
I believe it will be the SMS part. I searched online, it's quite complex. So I'm going to look through a bunch of videos to try and develop it further.
right? Okay, excellent. Same kind of question, Bihan. I want to know something that you are proud of that you built already, and it can be a product or a service or something that you already done, an achievement, rather. Tell us about it.
For me, it comes the Pahavasara Android application.
Pahavasara Android application.
Yes.
Okay.
This is for the scholarship students in grade 5 to achieve better grades.
Okay.
So this actually came because the current Pahavasara rush for the learning and for the classes. So to revolutionize it and then give a better simplified learning experience, I have made the Pahavasara Android application. So right now we
How
have,
does it work? So is it just content? Is it having
It
a
is
lot of
like,
content that?
well, yeah, you have to download the application, and then we have different kinds of paper models. So MCQ papers we have, and lecturers are making those papers and questions. So right now we have over 1,300. We have over 1,300 daily active users in the application.
Okay, excellent. So how are you planning to make money from this?
Well, actually, right now we have the AdSense going on,
Or your ad is
and
going on? Right.
what I wanted to do from this application is like uh, right now the parents are pushing children just to pass their grade 5 scholarship exam. So what I wanted to show is that if a child passes the Pahavasara scholarship exam,
Mhm.
they get better self-confidence to themselves to do something. But if a child fails the exam, then they should also be managed by the parents to make sure that failure is something which is very important in life.
Excellent. Thank you. So Navendra, I thought I'll give you a different one
Okay.
instead of asking for the favorite project. So what if I give you today after this show 10 million rupees to go do whatever you want, whatever you don't means not go shopping, build something, right? What do you think you'll go and build?
Well, from the time I started programming, I've always wanted to actually start my own tech company.
Your
And
own tech company.
yes,
Okay.
so we would develop software, we would develop even hardware. And this would be a wonderful investment. So I can start that. I can hire labor, and I can bring together enterprise and bring together land. And I would develop not just one application, but over the years I'll develop multiple. And I
So you
would
said you are going to hire people. Are you going to hire kids?
why not?
Right.
So let's just think out of the box, and that's what my company is going to be all about. We're going to create a suite of applications like what Microsoft does with its Office 360, and like word processors, Office applications, and a huge range of categories. And well, I'm going
But software development companies are a very competitive thing, right? There's so many. Do you think you will have some sort of a uniqueness?
yeah.
Okay.
We're kids.
We are kids. There you go. That's what I was looking for.
Innovative and creativity.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you are Generation Z. I mean, if I look at me and if I call myself a 5G guy, I'm looking at this 10G guys here, right? So it's really interesting to really talk to you guys. We are so used to talking to same age people or like in the same groups of people. It's a very unique experience sitting here talking to 4 WHIZZ-KIDS here. Right. So thank you, Navendra, for that. And I want to get back to Mindiya. So something about IoT devices is that we always think IoT means that you have to connect to a cloud. You said you already that whatever that the plan that you had to create in the water measurement is also talking to the cloud. But do we always have to talk to the cloud? I mean, some of these devices can work in a local area without having to go to the internet. What do you think?
Yes, it's because if you're planning if you're planning to get over to some faraway place, so you have to use internet.
Right.
So if you doing this in your home, or so you don't have to get the data to the internet.
So you see that not all IoT devices necessarily need to connect to the internet or the cloud rather, but it can also work in silos.
Yes.
You believe that? Okay. I'll jump back to Savith. So, what fascinated me about your project is, look, you are creating soil sensors that are, measuring water levels, sending SMSs, all these things. So you feel like somebody who is new to this will feel like, where do I get these devices from? How do I even get started? Isn't it so complex to send an SMS? You have to have the SIM holder to so many circuitry and all that, right? I mean, can you kind of explain how simple it is maybe for anybody to get into this?
So if you look at today's world, there are many YouTube tutorials and kits readily available to help you with this. Even me.
Kits
Yes.
readily available. Okay,
Yes.
go ahead.
Yeah, it's readily available. So even though it's not as hard as it sounds, even me, when I started off my first few projects, I thought, oh no, this is impossible. But when I look at it on YouTube, it's so easy. It's step by step is there. The main thing is you need to get started, right? So once you get started, you can slowly escalate from there. And that's actually a problem in Sri Lanka because it's quite hard to find children who are interested in coding, and that is something that needs to improve.
Right. Thank you. Great answer. So I want to go to Bihan. So you want to really do a coding school.
Yep.
That's what I heard from you, right? That means really, everybody else wants to do coding and create products, but you want to actually, become teaching itself becomes your business. Can you tell me a bit about this dream you have of code? You said Code City. Is that what you want to call it?
Exactly.
Right? Tell me a bit about it. How it should be working ideally.
Yeah. So Code City is actually a business to teach kids coding by different secret recipes we have. And
secret recipes?
Exactly.
So I can't ask.
The great innovative companies always have secret recipes behind them. So that is what Code City is, teaching kids and bringing them the next tech giants in Sri Lanka and providing the great innovative products right here from Sri Lanka to the world. That is what our main mission is all about. And obviously, as you said, this is a business. Everything we do is a business in the world. So basically, the business's main aim is to make pure profit.
Right.
So that is what Code City is. But also, what our main goal is to provide and make tech giants in Sri Lanka, make them the best engineers in Sri Lanka.
But this is for how old kids? What is the age range that you're targeting?
Well, this is obviously for the less than 18 underage kids in Sri Lanka.
Okay. And so I cannot keep bugging you about this secret recipe? Any chance?
We'll keep it to the future.
There you go. Okay. Right. That's very interesting. So you think your age is not only your age and the kids, you think you have something very unique that it's a in-house sauce that you're going to use that's going to make a difference.
Well, just Dulith, tell me about the KFC secret recipe if you know it. I mean, we don't know it, right? Just tell me one piece. No one knows about that.
I have no idea about it.
That's
so there you go. Okay, and they kept it for hundreds of years.
See?
So why not? Okay, good example. So Navendra, I want to jump to you. You built many applications, right?
Yeah.
I've been talking to you. So is there like one application which is kind of something that you're very proud of? Kind of walk us through it.
Yes, there is this one application that I really love.
That you
so
built on your
that I built on my own.
Right.
So tech companies have been boasting about this one category of application for the past few years. And I was able to create this one thing in a few months. So virtual assistants are a type of software that use AI,
What is
artificial
it called?
intelligence.
Version systems?
Sorry?
What's the name of this?
A virtual assistant.
A virtual assistant.
Yes.
Okay.
So companies like Apple have Siri and Microsoft has Cortana. So these virtual assistants, they use artificial intelligence to understand their users' wants, needs, and whatever the user tells them to do, they evaluate. So I was able to create my own one, and I called it Ava, Augmented Virtual Assistant, and it could do a numerous series of tasks. And believe it or not, I put it up for my science exhibition in February, and I won first place for the computer science section and third place in the entire school. So I got a bit of money for that, yeah. And also,
So let me ask you about Ava a little bit more.
sure, definitely.
So you know about Siri, you know about other ones that are out there today. You wanted to kind of reinvent the wheel there, or what was different in your?
I wanted to refine what these companies were already doing.
Okay.
I wanted
I would
to
love to hear one thing different that you may have.
Definitely.
Yes.
So when you look at, let's take Siri, it cannot multitask. I mean, you can probably ask it to do 3 or 4, maybe 5 things at most.
Okay.
But my application pushed it to a whole nother level. It was able, you can ask it as many things as you want, as long as it's been programmed to respond to those things. So
What
as-
language did you use? What libraries did you use?
Yeah, so I used a language that I learned for this very specific program called Batch. It was a very simple language, very powerful though, because it's specific for Windows. So you
Right.
can do a lot with it. And on top of that, my virtual assistant could pretty much evaluate many more things than Siri or Cortana could do. And also it had this feature called indexing, which was taken to a whole nother level.
Right.
So any virtual assistant has this feature. Indexing takes the sentence you give it, breaks it up to words, finds those keywords, and then does what you want it to do. It understands only those keywords.
Right.
So my virtual assistant not just only broke up the keywords, it broke up every single possible combination of simultaneous letters available in the sentence. So what do I mean by that? I mean that if you type in an entire paragraph of gibberish and just have one single word, which would be, let's say, WORD word in the input that you give to my application, it will read that for less than a second, detect that one word, and that word, it'll open up Microsoft Word.
Right. Okay. Very interesting. It's such a. I mean, we would all think when you're this age, you're not going to write this kind of code. You're going to write games and things like that, right? But so it's very interesting. I want to come back to Mindiya. So this is kind of a question I want to ask all of you guys. You guys are still kids, right? So you have parents on top of you, right? And parents, it's quite scary for parents to really, let you still, code all night or give you freedom to use laptops, these resources, AC power, bouts, wires, all that stuff, right? How do you kind of convince your parents to give you this freedom? We'll start from India.
So my father is an engineer, so he helps
He's an
me.
engineer,
Yes.
right?
So he helps me with everything
Okay.
from Arduino, and he has a workshop near the house. So in these holidays, I wake up at 8 and have my breakfast and go there and work.
Right.
So there's IRs, so they help me a lot, and my father too.
So your parents are into tech already, so they help you out there.
Yes.
Right. Can I bounce that question to Navendra? How do you get your parents to kind of
So
give you
generally,
freedom?
anything that I do would not concern my parents as long as it's legal. I mean, yeah, pretty much. So they're supportive of me no matter what. And as long as I'm doing something productive and allocating my time correctly, they're usually okay with it. But they're against addiction and all of that, so they have certain
So
time.
do they monitor you somewhat?
Yeah.
They do.
They usually just take away my devices if I'm overusing them.
Right. So Savith, what happens to you at home?
It's quite similar to Navendra's. I do get carried away sometimes. So my parents set time limits. and I'm not allowed to bring my laptop or phone upstairs so they can monitor what I'm doing constantly. That's actually quite clever. Instead of taking it away, you can monitor and put a control. And I believe that it's very important that all parents have control of their kids, no matter what they're doing, whether it goes to gaming or being productive at coding. The parents should take controls, and there are many ways to control it, and it's not that hard. So yeah, it's best to start controlling the kids from the beginning.
That's really good to hear from a kid asking you to control you guys.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you have like an area where devices are allowed in the house.
Yes, usually.
And you're not allowed to take it away from there. So so you can't hide in your room and do whatever you want, kind of thing.
Usually it's situated at the dining table when I
right.
look at
So
my laptop.
it's visibility to everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So I wanted to come to Bihan one more time. So Bihan, I know first I met you last year, I think. You came to meet. You wanted to raise money for this Code City. That's how I met you first. How has that been going? I know I referred you to the right people who will, further support you. But, not everybody wants to write a 15 million check or a 30 million check to a 15-year-old, right? But you are not giving up on that. How is that going?
Well, I started that on 2018 October, where I met you, and then it has been going on for 6 months. I have been visiting for more than 20 investors and VCs, and have pitched my idea. So what I want to tell is, Bill Gates pitched his idea of Microsoft for 1,200 investors, and 900 people said no. 300 people were just interested, but 11 just invested in him. So we have to keep going no matter what. You just get rejections and no's, and that's what keeps you going forward, just to make this happen.
So can I maybe open up to the audience and actually get whoever is interested to contact you, or have you already signed a deal with somebody?
Sure. So we have we have several investors on the board right now, but
So you already have somebody on board, but
Yeah.
you can take more people in.
exactly. We expect for more investors. So anyone,
How much are you trying to raise?
well, that goes from around 30 to 40 million.
30 to 40 million.
Yeah. This is about revolutionizing the tech education in Sri Lanka and making the kids go to the next level.
All right, that's amazing. So Mindiya, I want to ask you about the next device that you want to build. You are into IoT devices again. So what's the next device that's in your list that you wish you want to build?
So I'm building a device for Kukuleganga hydropower station. So I'm making a water measuring device. So Kukuleganga is a runoff kind of power generator. So they need to get the data of the water level from the Kukuleganga.
Right.
So I'm making a device to measure the water level and the wind speed
So
and
this
the
is,
water
you
level.
have the blueprint already done for this? And you want
I made the devices. I'm still
right.
I'm making the code for sending that data to
You're
the
working on it.
internet,
That's your next project.
and I'm making a scoreboard for a cricket match.
Okay.
That's the main
Lovely.
thing.
Good luck with that. So
Thank
I'm going to jump back to Savith. So, eventually, I think all of you will have your own companies. Most likely, you will work for somebody else. Sounds like only for a short time, and get back to your own company or start your own company. Do you have any ideas, Savith, that if you are to commercialize a product or get into a business, something? Do you have a business idea with you?
Yeah, I actually do. So everyone has a problem of not being able to identify how much of power they use in their house. So
Electricity.
Yes, the electricity. So I'd like to create an app and a device. So you attach the device near your power supply, and it will send to your device how much of power usage you have on a daily basis. So and it'll convert it to the payment amount. So you will be able to monitor, and it makes lives much easier for everyone.
So to get that clear, you want to create a sensor to the power supply. So daily you know how much of power you use
Yes,
instead of waiting till
month.
the end of the month to get the
Yes.
bill. Oh, excellent. So how do you make money from this? What do you sell? Are you going to sell a subscription thing or is it?
Well, it's a one-time thing. So maybe I would charge 5,000 to 7,000 rupees per device,
Okay.
and the app can be free.
Oh, excellent. Oh, good luck with that.
Thank you.
All right. So we are kind of wrapping up here, but there's this common thing that this can be very addictive. You guys know that. I don't have to tell you that, right? Coding can be quite addictive, right? And you can go hours and hours and hours, right? Bihan, how long have you longest coded, non-stop, without a bathroom break even?
Maybe 8 to 10 hours.
8 to 10 hours. See, it's pretty addictive, right? So how? I mean, what kind of controls that you have to do? Is, you have to study. You are full-time students, right? So if you spend that kind of time, how do you kind of balance yourself? If I start with you again.
So, well, as Savith also said, I have limits, time limits put up by parents. And
So those limits is what's guiding you.
yeah, and I have just come across from little bit from studies to business
Right.
and technology. This
Navendra, what about you? How do you control yourself, rather?
Between coding and
Yeah, because it's very addictive, right?
Exactly,
You
yeah.
know that, and then
does,
and you
because-
have school going on.
Exactly. So the first thing that I would like to say is that the most important thing is time allocation, right? I don't only do coding and school. I have extracurricular activities. I do piano, I do choir, I do basketball, and I even do badminton. Badminton being my favorite, so credits up for that.
Right.
And so you really have to believe in yourself. You need to know that you can do this. You need to know that you have the time and you had to put so much effort into it. But eventually you'll get there. You need to know when to do what.
Okay. So what you're saying is that extracurricular activities helps you to balance this kind of addiction.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. That's good. Now, I mean, does it still affect? What is your position in your class? If I don't mind asking.
I was first.
You're the first in the class.
Yeah.
Right. So there you go. So you balanced it. What about you, Savith?
Well, my longest time coding is 4 to 5. So yes, I would call it an addiction. But a way to occupy myself instead of coding is perhaps indulge into my hobbies, but not too much.
Right. That's what Navendra also said.
Yes.
Has that affected your studies? What is your position in your class?
I taught my class this
You
term.
topped your class as well. So, okay. Touch wood for all you guys. You guys seems to be on top of your class while doing amazing things like this. I mean, how better could it be? Now, I want to emphasize that this is just a beginning of this WHIZZ-KIDS group. And Mobitel has pledged to take this to the next level and create a much larger group of find more of your caliber guys, connect them together and meet once a week, twice a week kind of thing, and really officially launch this WHIZZ-KIDS thing, right? So thanks to Mobitel for that. One more thing, I mean, the next thing that this is Google I/O, right? So we are really into telco kind of new things coming up. So 5G is something that we are all looking forward to. And if I ask maybe Bihan, are you looking, obviously I don't even ask you why you're looking forward to 5G, but what's 5G? If I ask a 15-year or 16-year-old. Yeah.
Well, 5G can literally revolutionize how we do things right at the moment. So with 5G, there can be many new technologies and applications and more billion-dollar business opportunities coming up.
But that is the speed. I mean, everybody knows it's going to be faster.
Yeah.
Right? But what else would be there than just being speed?
Well, not only 5G, if we compare artificial intelligence and the next generation of technology, which are getting rapidly updated, the world can be literally changed in the next 10 to 15 years.
Okay, but Navendra, what do you think about 5G?
I think it's an amazing revolutionary milestone that we made in networking. It's literally the next generation of networking. It's expected to upgrade our current 4G by tenfold, and it can
So it's 10 times faster than 4G.
exactly, and it can go up to 100. I believe 10 gigabytes per second. The minimum being 1 gigabyte per second. It's got reduced costs transporting data, and also it's got high latency. So
You mean lower latency?
sorry, a lower latency,
Right.
right?
That'll be going backwards to 2G.
Yeah,
Right.
to 2G. And I think 5G provides a lot of opportunities, especially for IoT. It connects things much faster.
Right.
It provides
Wireless, automatic cars, all the
Exactly.
different rights, that kind of thing. So you've been the IoT guy. You must be the happiest about 5G. What do you think about it?
Yes, it will help the IoT industry. So by using 5G, we can send data faster and quicker and
Large chunks
safer.
of data.
Yes.
Right. Savith, are you looking forward to 5G?
Of course, we all are. Yeah, it's going to be much faster than 4G, as we all know, and it's going to open up us to a lot of possibilities in the IoT industry, like he said. Yeah, like you said, we're just not talking about downloading a movie in a second. We're talking about self-driving cars and whatnot. right? So we're all looking forward to 5G, and it's definitely going to revolutionize the technology.
Right. With that, guys, we are coming to a wrap. This has been such an amazing experience personally for me to sit with these 4 WHIZZ kids born here and made in Sri Lanka. Thank you very much, everybody.